Hi, I'm Barry. This is Mega City Gaming, and this is part 2 of the Wargamma unboxing video. Although the unboxing was at the beginning of part 1. Go back and watch part 1 if you haven't seen it already. This is just part 2. I'm carrying on painting this stuff. So, enjoy. I have finished with the green. So it looks like that on the underside. And on that side, wow, look at that. It looks like it did just come bubbling out of the toxic pool. Right, next up. Now these are dryish. I will go in and do the next layer, which will be cork brown. Again, it's the same colour I used on these and the same colour I use on a lot of my bases, most of my bases. You know, it's one of those colour schemes that I hit on by accident, semi-accident, and then liked it so much that I use it a lot. And it also blends in very well with the matte that I use called, I think it's Wasteland by gamematte.eu. And the reason I got that, aside from its Wasteland, it's double-sided. The other side is Urban, so perfect for Judge Dredd or any other kind of urban games. Right, I'm using cheap brush. I use this so much, you probably noticed. When I do get around to painting the Strontium Dog miniatures, I will be hopefully videoing that. We'll see how that goes, but I won't be using that so much, apart from for the bases. Right, so we're going to overbrush. So an overbrush is the same as a dry brush, but we've got more paint on the brush, and we just brush over. It brings out all the detail. So we don't want it soaking wet though. You don't want enough paint to soak into or pool or soak into the detail. You want it to, you brush over. That's why it's called overbrushing, because you brush over and the paint goes onto the raised areas. In that respect, it's similar to dry brushing, but dry brushing only brings out the extremities, whereas yeah, there we go. So you can see that, literally you can see the detail. If I'd have just painted it, it would be a solid colour like that, but this one you can see the detail. Anyway, awesome. I'm going to do the second one. I've got too much paint on my palette. I don't like wasting paint. I should get a wet palette. A friend of mine has a wet palette and he loves it. He loves it. So I just use this one because out of habit. I've used this forever really, and it is a dedicated palette. I know, I just use it because I bought it. And change, scary. Change is scary. Yeah, I mean, wet palette, is it good? You let me know. If I get enough people bothering me about getting a wet palette, I'll probably make one. Actually, I could even make a video about making a wet palette, like all the other videos out there about making wet palettes. Right, I have done the second layer, second coat. Now while that is drying, it won't take long to dry, I will go in and do these. I might actually, thinking about colours for the stem, because we might as well do the stem next. Yeah, that if we do it dark brown and then highlight up, that would be good. Or even a greeny colour, kind of like Russian uniform. Let's do a greeny colour. Or khaki. Khaki. That colour. We got a dark Cayman green. Could do Cayman green. Let's do Cayman green. It's a dark camouflage kind of colour. And then we can highlight up brown or green or whatever. Khaki, like greeny brown. Like I could highlight up with the Russian uniform. Not Russian uniform, British tank crew. Yeah, let's do that. I'm reluctant to use dark brown and stuff because if I use dark brown, I'll highlight up with cork brown and then it'll be the same colour as the bases and the craters, and I want it to look like it's not part of the mat. So these ones I want to look like it's part of the mat. These ones I want to look like it's not part of the mat. Yeah. Contrast. That's the word I'm looking. I should have shaken this a bit more, but whatever. So this is Game Colour Vallejo Cayman Green. Same brush as always. So when the Vallejo paint is not shaken properly, it comes out separated and a little bit streaky. So you can, if you, in that case, people say keep squeezing it out until you get paint coming out, and then when it's on the palette you can mix it with your brush. Cheap brush, cheap brush. Don't use your Winsor and Newton brushes to mix paint. That's going on alright, isn't it? In it. So you've seen my thought process about what colours to use. It's pretty on the fly. So only when I come to paint miniatures do I think hard and stuff about colour schemes. And you know, I do Google searches and I get, let's say, inspired by other people's colour schemes, or just blatantly rip off, copy other people's paint schemes. Yeah, that looks alright, doesn't it? So let's do the other two. I'll pause it. I'll let you go off and do whatever you want to do for a minute. Right, I've done the green, the Cayman green on the stems. The stems have spikes sticking out of them. I'm going to, this is another thing I do, is if I squeeze out too much paint, I like to use it up. So I've still got some cork brown here. I'm going to do the thorns cork brown. How's about that? Just using the same brush. Yeah. Very contrasty. It contrasts greatly with the Cayman green, but that's good. And when I because I am going to give it a wash of Agrax, I showed you, it'll be less kind of what's the word? There'll be less contrast. It'll blend in a bit more, and I am going to highlight up the stem as well. The trunk, stem, I don't know. Trunk, I guess, because it's woody. Yep. Yeah. So I don't like wasting paint, you see. yeah. Another thing I'm playing these days is on the computer, Conan Exiles, which, although it's an MMO, you can play solo or with just with your friends. I thoroughly detest MMOs. Actually, most of the people on MMOs, it's not the MMO itself, it's the people. So, having played Warcraft and such like in the past, I swore off MMOs after that. People were just dumb. Not everyone, of course. There are a minority of cool people. But anyway, I've been playing it on solo mode, and it's a survival game. It's my first survival game. Look at that, that's pretty cool, isn't it? So I recommend playing that. It's actually really good. Although you wouldn't think Conan would feel very much like Conan if you're going out and harvesting or farming resources like wood and stone and stuff like that. It does actually feel like Conan, because you don't have to do that. You can get by with a minimal amount of farming and just going out and cutting people in half and stuff like that. So it is a really cool game, but that has eaten into my free time quite heavily. So I haven't got as much painting done as I had expected, but I am quite prolific with my paint, because not because I have a lot of free time, but I'm quite fast at painting, and when I get into doing painting, I stay up late. And not only that, doing a little bit each day really helps as well to get things done. So not only that, having this paint station ready to go at the drop of a hat really helps, instead of having to get all my stuff out, go through drawers, blah blah blah. If it's all ready to go, it's so much easier just to get an hour in after work, stuff like that. And I do like watching, or at least listening to, Beasts of War while painting. Beasts of War, because it is awesome. And also other YouTube channels. Terrain Tutor, he's cool. Pezapoo and his Wasteman Bat Reps, they're very cool. Yeah. Right, I'm nearly done with the thorns. Another thing I watched recently was Space 1999. Blast from the past. I remember being a kid, like just a few years old, and that was on the TV, and the music really scared me. It was scary. Even now, watching it again, the music was freaky, kind of like 70s 70s music. Yeah. Anyway, so I watched the first episode. It's actually really, really good. Like, I mean, it's dated visually, but the story, wow. Right, okay, I've done the thorns. While they're drying, I can, I'll go in and do the final dry brush on the bases of the crystals, which, of course, as you probably already know, is going to be Dark Sand by Vallejo. And that's exactly the same as I did on this about an hour ago. So give it a good shake, and I'm going to use this brush. It's huge for such a small thing, but we don't want to get everything, we just want to get the extremities, so no problem, just the extremities. Right, here we go, get some on the palette. Not too much, because we're only doing a very light dry brush. Very light. Okay, get that on the brush. And then wipe it off. Yeah. Just like the eyebrows. Yeah. Shave them off, paint them on. Yeah. Or even shave them off, tattoo them on. Right, here we go. You don't have to get the whole thing. Do not get any onto the crystal. Just the extremity. That's fine, gives it a little bit of texture. Brings out the texture, gives it also looks like the light is on it and stuff. There you go. Yeah, it's not the same colour as that. You know why? Because that was primed black. That's why. But near enough. Near enough. Right, I think let's do the top bit of the mushrooms. Yeah, because I think it should be dry enough to handle the mushrooms now. So I'm just washing my brush in filthy water. There you go. I might get another one of these. I've had this and I've been using this for about 10 years, and although it's not flat anymore, for dry brushing it's fine, and for doing large things like this it's fine. So great. Right, now the colour we're going to use for the top. I said I wanted like a Fly Garrett colour, so although we're being anti-Fly Garrett by having a light colour with red spots, and for the light colour, white would be too in your face, so we're going to go for my old favourite, Rotting Flesh. My old favourite. When I want to do pseudo white, like text on a sign or something like that, I use this colour, because white would look too clean and too yeah. Anyway, so what brush shall I use? I've got this old thing. Is that? Yeah. This is old. It's Army Painter Wargamma Monster. It's quite thick, and because I've been using it a long time, it's kind of splayed a bit. But if I use that, this is too thin. It's going to take too long. This is doable, but I worry about getting paint onto the red bits. Right, anyway, let's do it. Let's do it. Stop talking, start painting. There we go. We'll see how this brush goes. I can always switch brushes. Yeah. Yeah, this brush is reasonable for this task. reasonable. Yeah. Bit of cat hair. Cat hair everywhere because they are legion. I have so many cats. So many cats. Sometimes, especially in the winter, right now it's not a problem, but in the winter they like sleeping on or in, more like bollocks. I got some paint. Did I say bollocks? What I meant to say was gosh. I got a little bit of paint on the red, so that's not cool. But anyway, they like to. I can go back and fix that. They like to sleep on or in the bed. And quite often, because my body heat is higher than the wife's for some reason. They prefer sleeping with me, but that sleeping with me means sleeping on me, and that's all of them, yeah. And you know, that's 15 kilos of cat literally sleeping on me, and it's sometimes quite hard to turn over or even move or even get up. So yeah, but it's cute, it's cool. Certainly never lonely. Yeah, so that's the effect we're going for, is a light colour. Yeah, I might actually change this after this, because I've got a drawer full of new brushes. I could just pull out a new brush and chuck this one away, or use it for you know, terrain or something. Oh, this is terrain, but you know what I mean. But it's like an old pair of shoes, you know what I mean? Your wife pulls out your old pair of shoes and she says, I'm going to chuck these shoes, and you're like, no, they're comfortable, even though they've got holes in and stuff, you know, or like an old shirt or something. Yeah, this brush is really not very good for this task, to be honest. But we're going to persevere. And it's taking a long time. Apologies for that. Sorry about that. Yep. Indeed. Yes, indeed. I was going to go out this afternoon and go to the 100 yen shop, with the pound shop, local equivalent of the dollar store / pound shop, to get some plastic boxes for storage of my Shadows of Brimstone stuff, because Shadows of Brimstone has a lot of cards and counters, and there's a whole subculture of people on the internet who are developing new storage solutions for Shadows of Brimstone, and it does call out to the OCD among the gamers, of which there are a high percentage, of course. because even myself, I'm a little bit like that. I do love organising stuff, tidying stuff, organising stuff, putting things in boxes, putting them in the right order, blah blah blah, you know. And that is a whole. Not only that, it's a whole extra thing that can be blinged. Like the other day, a friend of mine posted a picture of because it's Wild West, basically, kind of like a Wild West style, not a suitcase, more like a trunk, and with the Shadows of Brimstone logo etched, laser etched on the front. It looked freaking amazing, and I had my hand hovering over the purchase button to get, obviously not the laser etched version because that was his personal one, but get the same suitcases or trunks. But you got to draw the line somewhere, mate. I've already invested heavily in Shadows of Brimstone, and I've spent a lot on the 100 yen boxes or £1 plastic boxes to store the cards and the counters and all that in. Nearly done, then I'll pause it as always, and you can, I'll say you can go about your business, but it's me who's going to be going about my business, getting these other two done. Yeah, believe it or not, I'm actually quite a quiet person. I was always the quiet one at school. As I've got older, I've become a bit more outspoken. But if there's a crowd of people, especially people I don't know, I'm one of those people who observe and judge, keep my opinions to myself while I assess people. Right, there you go. That looks pretty cool. Obviously I'm going to give it highlights and washes. I'm going to do the other two now. I have finished that stage. I did switch brushes halfway through, and it was so much quicker using this brush. Old Faithful. However, because it's quite a thick brush, I got quite a lot of paint on the red, so I'm going to go back and just fix those bits right now. Yeah, let's just fix it, do a bit of repair work. So the first one I did was this one. I didn't get much, didn't make many mistakes at all on this one. Good. Right, this one, yeah, paint all over my hands because the Citadel Miniatures paint pots have a habit of leaking all over my hands. So sooner or later I'm going to phase them out. And use only Vallejo. Tempted just to get yeah, see, I got paint on my hands from the bloody paint pot leaking all over the place, and then I touch the miniature, I get paint on the bloody miniature. What the beep. So anyway, I could just go ahead and get the Vallejo set of paints. Just pull the trigger and get the whole lot. Not the whole lot, but a paint set with comes with its own box, I think. Or am I thinking of a different paint range? Anyway, because I've always wanted one of those paint sets, and I ended up just buying one or two, getting I was quite happy with the paints and the pots themselves, and then I got more and more and more, and now I've got maybe 20 or so, 30, but it would behoove me to get a paint set because I'm missing some colours and I need to replace some. I've got, look at a cat all over me. Right, next yeah, I think what we're going to do now is I was thinking about highlighting the red parts of the mushrooms, and I could go either of two ways with that. I could go with a pink dwarf flesh, give it kind of a biological feel, or I could go with orange. Where is it? I can never find that one. There it is. Blazing orange. Go for more of a throbbing, glowing, illuminous kind of effect. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try it anyway. So, using Old Faithful brush, shaky, blazing orange. It's quite a good colour, this. I mean, Games Workshop paints are good. It's just, well, mostly good. They used to be much better, in my opinion. But the pots make them a struggle to use, to be honest. I don't need that level of hassle in my life. So I'm wiping off most of the paint, keep a little bit on the brush and draw it over the detail. Right, you can see that? You can see the detail then. It doesn't look like it's glowing, it just brings out the detail, to be honest. Yeah, look at that. You can, that's a lot more visible now. Subtle as well. It's not like, you know, glowing as I, in my mind's eye, that's what it looked like, but in reality, no. But yeah, it does look good. Just wiping off the mistake with my finger. If only all of my mistakes could be corrected so easily. Getting philosophical. Right, and I decided that it looks quite good to give it a bit of a thicker dry brush, probably more like an overbrush, to make it more pronounced. There you go, like that. Yeah, that's better, isn't it? Don't wash the brush, don't wash the brush. Not yet. Where's that? Where did I put the colour? Did I put it back? Is it in front of me? Going matte, there it is. It's under there. It was under the paint lid, not paint lid. Water pot lid. Yeah. So I'm going to go in and do the others as well, because I'm very happy with the results of that. That one's still wet. That one's still wet. Right, by the time I get around to that section. So you don't want to, it's still a semi-dry brush, you don't want to have blobs of paint on your brush. Very light. It's better too light than too heavy, to be honest, because you can always go back. And it does take a few strokes of a brush to get the hang of how light to do it. So lighter is better, as in not applying too much pressure. In that case, although I didn't do it this time, it's probably better to do a place that isn't quite so obvious to begin with. Like do the underneath first, and then, oh, that looks good, I'll do the rest of it. Because if you screw up, can't see it. Make sure the brush is completely dry before you do this, otherwise you will get blobs of paint. It won't go on as well, it will go into the recesses, it won't bring out the detail. There we are. Yeah, that actually looks really good. It looks really good, if I do say so myself. Right, I'm not so happy with the white bits. I think that all that needs is a Agrax earth shade, and it'll look more better, or just better in proper English. Right, proper English. I should have probably paused it rather than subject you to this ridiculous banter. But there you go. Too late now, mate. You're stuck with it. I suppose you could just press stop. If you don't like it, you don't have to watch it. And so on. Right, nearly done anyway, so good news, good news. And then I'll probably do Agrax. Oh, no. Before that, I'm going to do the trunks, the stems. Yeah, that does look good, doesn't it? Yeah, and for the larger areas you can go a little bit heavier in the middle, so it does stand out a bit more, like that. Yeah, so I'm quite happy with that. Let's do the trunks now. Shall I use my big dry brush? Yeah, let's do that. Let's use that. and I was going to use British Tank Crew probably, and this is yeah, they're almost the same, but let's use this one, the lighter one. Normally I put my paints that I use to one side so I don't forget what shade and paint I used, but there are now 2 cats on the table so there's nowhere to put stuff, and I have quite a small table. One day I'm going to have a table big enough to play real games on, but well, some people don't have any tables, so in that respect I'm quite lucky. So anyway, this is British Tank Crew, Panzer Aces range by Vallejo. Basically khaki, or khaki if you prefer. This is for the trunks, tree trunks, although they're not really trees, but they have tree-like arboreal trunks if you prefer. Arboreal? What is he talking about? Right, the grain goes up to down, so I'm going left to right, yeah, or right to left, whatever. And because it's quite a wide brush, I'm not going anywhere near the thorns or the top bit. There you go. See the detail a lot more on that, and then we'll give it an Agrax Earth shade and it will probably obscure all the highlighting hard work that I've done. There's one YouTube channel in particular, can't remember who it is, it might be Wargame Girl or someone like that. It's a female anyway, a lady. And one of her pet peeves is people spending a lot of time highlighting and doing really dry brushing and really doing quite a good job, and then going over it with a wash, and then you can't see anything. So that's my habit. That's what I always do. She probably hates me. She probably hates me, and I really doubt she's watching this anyway. So she might be. If she is, hi. Don't think she'll be learning anything from this though. Her being a far better painter than me. But there you go. Right. Yeah, it looks really cool. Let's do the last one. So we escaped another 2 typhoons last week or this week. Other parts of Japan weren't so lucky. There we are, that is cool, isn't it? Yes, get in there. Right, wash the dry brush. Wash the dry brush. Right, now we're going to go over it with a wash. I could use that, couldn't I? Now it's, because it doesn't matter if it's wet. I can't dry brush if it's wet, but I definitely can wash. So let's use this side, because it's quite a large item. Yeah, the old faithful Agrax Earthshade. I use this for anything apart from metals and greys. Metals and greys I use Nuln oil. Right. We'll see how it looks. Let's do the small one first. And I'm going to have to do it in 2 sections because I have to hold it. Unless I put it onto... Yeah. Right, that's what I needed. My old GW paint pots taped up with a bit of blue tack on the top, also known as poster tack. Don't get the white tack, because that is made of different stuff and that goes hard and dries out quite quickly. The blue tack is the high quality stuff, and don't get a cheaper version of blue tack, because again it will dry out and go all crap. So blue tack, BLUETAC is the product name, and that is the best stuff to use. Anyway, so I'm softening up the blue tack. When it's warm or hot, or yeah, let's say, because it is flammable, so don't go heating it up, but like the heat from your fingers is enough to make it soft. I mean, it's already soft, but it becomes more soft and more sticky when you know, knead it, and that's a knead with a K, K-N-E-A-D, right? And then that's it. Put the thing on there, and then that's it. I've got a nice handy thing. I might even get some of those GW holder things. I'm not sure how much they are, but I am literally going to need about 10 of them, because I paint miniatures 10 at a time. So I'll see how much they are when the new GW store opens up down the road. Right, yeah, that's it. But why buy those when I have these? And these are a little bit more flexible, because even something big like that you can put on there. I'm not sure if you can do that with those GW things. I'll have to check one out. I'll go to the store when it opens and check it out, because I cannot leave a GW store without buying something. Right, okay, so they're now ready to wash. I don't know if Agrax Earthshade needs shaking, but I'll shake it anyway. And that's it. Get a load onto the pallet. Hey, knock it over and just slosh it on. Yeah, I think actually those GW ones are probably better, because it grips rather than this, which doesn't grip, and this does have a habit of moving around if it's one of the heavier kind of or fall off totally like that. Shit. Right. Yeah, resin doesn't stick so well to blue tack. Right, okay, but that should be good enough. Right, and then the next one. So I don't even know if you saw that, because I had it all up in my face. So I'm just sloshing on, sloshing it all on, getting it all over, and it does look a lot better. My stuff has a habit of being darker than being too dark. Well, anyway, not too dark, but yeah, I like it. There you go. That looks a lot better, doesn't it? A lot better than the unwashed masses. Right. Yeah, I think I will be getting some of those GW handle things. Sorry, you can't see. Yeah, it's a habit, bad habit. You need to see what I'm doing, otherwise it'll be boring, even more boring. There you go, done. 1, 2, 3, done. Right. Okay, I think that is it for the Wargamma stuff. Right, let me just wash the brush. Oh, it's fallen over. Yeah, another thing about these is it can get, if it's something solid resin like these mushrooms, really does get a little bit top heavy. Yeah, GW handles for the win, I think. Yeah. Right, I'll just have to hold it, won't I? Okay. Let's have one more look at the blobs, because they're dry now, so you haven't. So, wow, look at that. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. There will be more.